Joining me now is RNC Communications Director Sean Spicer. Sean, it's great to have you with me, and I want to get straight into this report of the Oklahoma AG, Scott Pruitt, being picked for EPA Administrator. Can you confirm that?
No, I can't. Until Mr. Trump approval on any given nominee, it's not official. And so I mean, he's obviously an impressive individual. He's done a lot. He's someone that came and met with Mr. Trump and the team. But until he makes a final decision, nothing is final.
All right, so what do you make? Bob Shrum was just on the air calling Pruitt a climate change denier. We know that Ivanka Trump wants to make climate change part of her platform, even meeting with Vice President Al Gore. How much of a conundrum is this going to be to have a climate change denier going up against the first daughter?
Well, let me explain. Everyone who comes into a Trump administration understands that it's the Trump-Pence agenda that is implemented, and it's Donald Trump's vision that is going to be taken and make change in Washington. So regardless of what someone's personal views are for any particular position, whether it's cabinet or otherwise, it's ultimately Donald Trump's vision and change that are what people need to come here to come to Washington and carry out. He's bringing real substantive change. You've seen the number of people that have come through this building, over 80 so far, high caliber people from a diversity of background, both political parties, foe and friend. The best quality people are going to fill a Trump-Pence administration and bring real change about. And I think that he's shown that over the last couple of weeks.
So, Sean, we have Donald Trump saying this morning on the Today Show he's fairly close to announcing a Secretary of State pick. Can you confirm who the finalists are?
I'm sorry, I can't. And I only say that not to dodge the question, Thomas, but, I mean, ultimately, this is his decision. And if you've seen in the last couple of days, he's brought some additional folks in as he's found about their qualifications and wanted to hear their opinions. So, you know, I take his, you know, it's up to him. If he says it's next week, it's next week. But when he narrows down that person, it'll be up to him to decide when and where to tell everyone.
Certainly there was a big response to the potential, and Mitt Romney still in the running, where in 2012 he was supported by the RNC when he said that Russia was the U.S.'s biggest geopolitical foe. So if Romney's chosen, Sean, do you think that Trump and Romney can see eye to eye on Russia, given Trump's praise for during the campaign and after?
Well, again, I think we've got to stop talking about individual, you know, cabinet secretaries or staff positions and what they want. Everyone who enters a Trump-Pence administration understands that it is Donald Trump's agenda and Donald Trump's vision that they're carrying out, regardless of where they may or may not sit on a particular issue. Mitt Romney understands that, and everyone who's come before him, either announced or unannounced, will understand that they're there and they're coming into a Trump-Pence administration to carry out Donald Trump's legislative agenda. So, you know, I understand your question, but I think people have to understand what it takes to come into this. And people who are meeting with them and the people who are accepting the positions are very clear that they're there to implement that agenda.
But I think that's the biggest distinction, is about whether or not someone who takes over that post could go AWOL on a certain Trump-Pence policy. But one thing I do know that we can talk about, Sean, is that...
Well, can I just... Hold on, I'm going to stop you. No one is going to go AWOL in a Donald Trump administration. If they do, I think they pretty much know where they're going to end up real quick.
We've seen Donald Trump say you're fired. We've seen it many years on television. Well, Sean, we learned today, though, that Trump is going to tap retired Marine General John Kelly to lead the Department of Homeland Security. So we got 3 generals now in top cabinet posts. Do you think that President-elect Trump could be overcompensating for his lack of military service and foreign policy chops by surrounding himself with these types of folks with their backgrounds?
Well, first, let me say that no announcements have been made on Homeland Security. There's been a lot of speculation in the press. I'm not going to go any further than that. But I will say that, again, it's not just the generals, but he's bringing in business leaders, people that have been successful in different branches of of government, whether it's governors or House or Senate members, people who have been involved in academia. So it's, you know, there's over 4,000 jobs that have to be filled, many at the senior level, and so far he's picked 3 people from the military, or 2 rather, and I know there's speculation on a 3rd, or potentially he's met with a number of generals and admirals. So, you know, look, I think he's bringing in the best and brightest people to fill the particular slots and carry out that agenda that I talked about. But his qualification is, are you the best person for the job? Do you have a plan to get my agenda passed? And that's it, pretty plain and simple.
All right, so we know we heard from the president-elect today was that exclusive interview with our Matt Lauer on the Today Show, Sean. Trump addressed his developing relationship with President Obama, which we all know in the past has been pretty acrimonious. So take a listen for yourself.
Really like him. We have, I think I can say, at least for myself, I can't speak for him, but we have a really good chemistry together. We talk. He loves the country. He wants to do right by the country and for the country. And I will tell you, we obviously very much disagree on certain policies and certain things, but, I really like him as a person.
This is really a change in tone, Sean, as we get to this point for President-elect Trump. And certainly we know that these two men can disagree on policy, but we've got a piece today out in Politico that draws these parallels about Obama and Trump economic stimulus, saying this: that Trump cut a deal with Carrier to keep jobs from going to Mexico, much like Obama asked the CEO of Caterpillar to halt planned layoffs. Trump said a planned upgrade of Air Force One, waste of money, while Obama said he didn't need new expensive Marine One helicopters. And Trump wants a $1 trillion infrastructure package, while Obama eventually settled for $830 billion. So do you think that Donald Trump is really following an example, a blueprint that was already laid out and was successful by President Obama?
Well, first, let me start with the reason that Donald Trump was on the Today Show making those comments is he was selected Times Person of the Year. It's a great honor for anyone to get chosen. I think Donald Trump understands what an honor that is. He's very humbled by it, and it's an amazing feat for the president-elect to have. So I just wanted to start with that. But second, I think that, everyone right now is starting to cherry pick different actions and say, look at how they match up with somebody else. But the reality is these were campaign promises that he made. He talked about the fact that Carrier specifically, that he was going to get them to stay. He fought hard. He picked up the phone before becoming even president and fought hard for those 1,000 jobs so that those people in Indiana have a blessed holiday season. So this is more about him following through on the promises that he's made on the campaign trail, and talked about making sure that the American people understand that he has got an America First agenda. It's American workers, Americans, families, American businesses that are going to come first in a Trump-Pence administration. And he's basically shown that exactly what he said on the campaign trail was going to be how he was going to govern as president of the United States.
And so when it comes, we just had a senior transition official confirm to NBC News that it is going to be Scott Pruitt to the EPA. So breaking news there. And Sean, it's a good thing I still have you on, because as I said before, Scott Pruitt would be described by folks as a climate change denier. Rumored that Ivanka Trump wants to have climate change as her platform. So in a Scott Pruitt-Ivanka Trump matchup, who wins?
I would say that Donald Trump wins, and because, look, I mean, again, I understand the question, Thomas, but this is the third time that we've talked about it. I don't care what job you take in a Trump administration. Every single person from the highest level down to the lowest level understands that he has an agenda for change, and that you have to buy into that agenda, not yours, but his. And it's not even just the question of the agenda. He wants results. He wants real change. He's going to demand real change. And so regardless of what position you take in a Trump administration, you're going to be held accountable to implement the vision that he laid out on the campaign trail, so that the American people understand that we have a different government and that business as usual is over.
Sean Spicer, always great to have you on, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate you tap dancing with me as we get some of these facts and names out there to the public, and we expect much more, as Donald Trump has promised. So we'll have you back. One last look.